Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful day in America. The Democrats may finally start to lose at their own game. Gerrymandering. Democrats have been doing it for years, and they've been getting away with it. But just recently, the Republicans decided to smarten up just a tiny bit. Most recently in Texas, we've been covering the story all week long here on the Great America Show. About the Marxist Dems. They're fleeing the state so they didn't have to vote on the new districts being added in the great state of Texas. Now, Texas is understandable, and we went over that on why they've had to add seats. More people have went down there. They've gained about 3 million people over the course of the last few years, primarily people running from the tyranny of New York and California, getting the heck out of those places to go live a freer, fairer life in some place like Texas. So you have the Democrats this week fleeing, obviously, there. But you've had it happened around this country for a very long time by the Democrats. And the Republicans never wanted to smarten up. They never wanted to get even with the Democrats. They've allowed them to get away with it in perpetuity. I mean, they've never gave them an issue about doing it. So, like anything else, why would you stop if you can keep going without anybody calling you out on the BS? But as I said this week, the Republicans decided to smarten up just a tiny bit, right? So Donald Trump, who of course has to be the ringleader in everything and be the head of the spear in everything, because nobody else in the Republican Party is smart enough to do a thing or is worth a damn without Donald Trump having to show them the way. Donald Trump announcing a massive, massive plan today that I believe will reshape the Republican Party, will reshape America as we know it for years and years to come. The United States conducts a census survey every 10 years. The government last conducted the survey in 2020. Now, you all know what happened in 2020. It was a very irregular year, a very irregular time. You had COVID running around the country. You had the Marxist Dems getting ready to steal and successfully steal a presidential election, congressional seats as well, some Senate seats down in Georgia, 2 Senate seats down there. So the Republicans are very preoccupied, but it wasn't a problem because it was easy to cheat. Mail-in ballots, everything was done on a computer. Things were just very different, very, very different. So the last census was conducted in 2020. It was the first time, by the way, in the history of this country where you can respond online. It's never been done before. So what does that tell you? If you can go take a census online, if you can go do anything online, you don't have to be 100% honest. Now, I'm not saying you or I would do that, but if you're perhaps an illegal or you're a Democrat and you're a liar and a thief, you might want to lie. Because how it works is, and for those of you who know how it works, I apologize. But for us laymen's, how it works is congressional seats in states are decided by how many residents live in those states. So in other words, New York has lost millions of people over the course of the last few years due to high taxes, crime, COVID, whatever it may be. And they've fled to states like Florida. So let's use a number like 3 million. I'm not sure if that's the number, but it's got to be somewhere around there. That means New York will have to lose congressional seats because you're overrepresented in New York, and you will add on to wherever those people decide to move. So we'll use Florida as an example. If you have 3 million people who left New York and 1.5 million of them went down to Florida, that may add 2 congressional seats down in Florida. And that's just the way it works. So the count in 2020, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, was probably flawed, being that it was conducted online, allowing the Marxist Dems to do what they do best, as I've said, cheat, lie, cheat, and steal. So Donald Trump has decided he wants, and he's ordered the Secretary of Commerce to conduct a census early. The next one was set to be due in 2030, but Donald Trump wants it done early. He wants it done before the 2028 election. He says the numbers that we saw in 2024 should reflect what a census should look like. We're going to pull up for you the Truth Social post of President Trump. and what he had to say about it. But nonetheless, this is a massive, massive move by the Republicans, a massive, massive move by President Donald Trump. This might stifle the Marxist Democrats from stealing and ever stealing seats, congressional seats, Senate seats, presidential seats in this country ever again. Stephen Miller estimates that the Democrats can lose 20 to 30 congressional seats. That is massive. Take a listen.
Illinois, Chicago, New York, Massachusetts. Democrats have gerrymandered the vote beyond recognition to try to maintain their advantage in the House elections. On top of that, let's not forget, Democrats rigged the 2020 census by including illegal aliens. Remember, they sued Donald Trump. They sued the administration. They fought tooth and nail to include illegal aliens in the census. 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist but for illegal aliens. Texas is taking just a small corrective step against this ocean of fraud, this ocean of abuse by the corrupt Democrat Party, Sean.
20 to 30 seats can be lost for the Marxist Democrats. I mean, this is probably the greatest news I think we've gotten since election night back in November as it pertains to this country, meaning that New York will lose congressional seats. California will most likely lose congressional seats. These deep blue states, Illinois, will probably lose some congressional seats. Down in Texas, in those new lines that they're drawing down there, it's being reported that Jasmine Crockett, everybody's favorite member of Congress, by the way, her seat may be redistricted out, which might not be the worst thing in the world. We got a report out today that her staff is very unhappy with her and that she off camera is very different than the way that she is on camera. Lo and behold, Jasmine Crockett, I guess, what do you expect from her? She's not exactly a class act. So going back to the gerrymandering, the Marxist Democrats have used and abused it for years. We're going to pull up for you a congressional map for Maryland as an example, because this is one of the ones that they've got extremely skewed and messed up. If we can get it up on the screen there for all of you guys to see. If you're joining us on audio, we apologize. You're not able to see this, but we're just going to go through it here because it's absolutely, in my opinion, it's absolutely absurd. And this is from the New York Times. Here we go. Take a look here at Maryland's 3rd congressional district right here on the screen. I've never seen anything so messed up in my life as this congressional district. I mean, this looks like it was literally drawn by a child with crayons to be erased. Anyone who thinks this is normal is not a person with a triple-digit IQ. But this is how they do it. This is how the Democrats maintain their power. This is how they hold strong Democrat strongholds. Right here in New York, 11th Congressional District, which is the only Republican stronghold in New York City. I say New York City, meaning the boroughs. And it's a New York 11. And what they've tried to do is, since it's always been a strong Republican stronghold, which holds Staten Island, which is very heavily Trump. It's probably the only normal place in New York City, let alone. But what they've tried to do is they've tried to gerrymander in, instead of drawing the congressional map, since there's not enough people that live in the district in New York 11, they've tried to gerrymander it into Brooklyn. And instead of going straight into Brooklyn, they've decided to go up the coastline into project buildings. Now, a member of Congress who I used to work for once told me that in a project building of thousands of people, he would usually get 7 to 8 votes in those congressional districts, in those congressional buildings. So you see what the Democrats do. Now let's take a look at Maryland's 4th congressional district. I'm sorry, this is Illinois' 4th congressional district. See how it's built, drawn all the way around out Chicago? It's not drawn straight. It's not drawn symmetrical. Everything is drawn to tailor it to just how the Democrats need it to get the votes that they need to get the outcome secured that they want. So they're prolific cheaters, and they've finally got caught at their own game. They've been doing this for years and years and years and years, and it's primarily been done in places where it actually matters. Wisconsin. We saw New Mexico this last election was a place that may have been in play, could have possibly been in play if it wasn't so darn corrupt. But the place is extremely corrupt and it's run by Democrats. So I don't know what else you could expect. But they've managed to do it down in New Mexico. Illinois is a very big one where they do it. Maryland is another very big one where they do it. New York, as I mentioned, another very, very big one. Going to New Mexico, just back in 2020, New Mexico's 2nd congressional district. Democrats redrew this district to shift it from a Republican-leading seat, which was a Republican plus 14, to a Democrat plus 4. Think about that swing. A Republican plus 14 to a Democrat plus 4. This was a redrawn flip seat, ousting the Republican incumbent, Yvette Harrell, in 2022, and helped the Democrats secure a 3-0 congressional delegation in New Mexico. That's just one. Illinois 4, we just spoke about there. Another one that was gerrymandered with the help of Governor J.B. Pritzker. New York 19, another one that was gerrymandered in. It allowed the Democrats to win 19 of 26 seats, 73%, despite Kamala Harris receiving only 55% of the statewide vote in New York. The gerrymandering was criticized for undermining a fair court-ordered map. And what they'll do is they'll gerrymander, and then they'll go to courts and they'll cry and complain about it, and the courts are all corrupt. So they just approve and allow these Democrats to get away with literally murder. So with this new census that we're expecting that Donald Trump has ordered, I think we're going to get a change. I think for the first time in a very long time, it's going to be very hard for the Democrats to continue to steal and lie and to cheat. Now, they're still going to try with their mail-in schemes and whatever ways they've done in the past. But by not being able to gerrymander in hard Democrat congressional seats, it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for the Republicans. As I mentioned, we are live tonight. Before we go to commercial break, we're going to go ahead and give some shout outs just on Rumble while we have that up here. Kelly Song, as always, Fall Girl. Strafer, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys joining in. We're going to take one quick break here, folks. When we return, there is a lot to get to. Big firings happening today at the FBI. The wheels of justice are continuing to move, and they're moving fast. RFK Jr. announcing he is canceling mRNA development contracts. Big campaign promise by RFK, making good on that. President Trump and Vladimir Putin are set to meet. We'll tell you all about that. So much more. Benjamin Netanyahu has plans to take over Gaza. All that and much, much more on the other side of this quick break, folks. We're coming right back on The Great America Show. Please stay with us.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. My employees and I want to thank you for your continued support by extending our wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows only $14.98. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98. But it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including my standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98. Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
MyPillow.com/John, promo code John will get you max discounts and savings. I got a call from Mike Lindell today, and he appreciates everything you guys buy on MyPillow. It's what allows him to keep his business open. It's what allows him to employ all of his Americans in Minnesota. So Mike asked me to thank all of you who spent a great deal of money over at MyPillow. So a great deal of gratitude for Mike, who's a great American who's been a victim of a very, very corrupted system that, as I said, now seems to be changing. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But before we get to that, I want to turn to RFK Jr., Secretary of HHS, who's doing, among some of the other people there, just an absolutely terrific, terrific job. Announced today that his department is canceling the mRNA vaccine development investments and contracts, citing scientific research that found mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits. Now, this is what the COVID-19, one of the COVID-19s or a few of the COVID-19 shots was made out of. And RFK has been a big proponent against it. Now, keeping up on his promise, listen to his announcement today, which is, I think, massive for the health field and for the health of Americans.
Hi, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here, your HHS secretary. At HHS, we have a division called the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, or BARDA. BARDA drives some of our most advanced scientific research. It funds developments of vaccines, drugs, diagnostics, and other tools to fight emerging diseases and national health threats. Over the past few weeks, BARDA reviewed 22 mRNA vaccine development investments and began canceling them. Let me explain why. Most of these shots are for flu or COVID, but as the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation and the vaccine becomes ineffective. This dynamic drives a phenomenon called antigenic shift, meaning that the vaccine paradoxically encourages new mutations and can actually prolong pandemics as the virus constantly mutates to escape the protective effects of the vaccine. Millions of people, maybe even you or someone you know, caught the Omicron variant despite being vaccinated. That's because a single mutation can make mRNA vaccines ineffective. The same risk applies to flu. After reviewing the science and consulting top experts at NIH and FDA, HHS has determined that mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits for these respiratory viruses. That's why, after extensive review, BARDA has begun the process of terminating these 22 contracts, totaling just under $500 million. To replace the troubled mRNA programs, we're prioritizing the development of safer, broader vaccine strategies, like whole virus vaccines and novel platforms that don't collapse when viruses mutate. Let me be absolutely clear. HHS supports safe, effective vaccines for every American who wants them. That's why we're moving beyond the limitations of mRNA for respiratory viruses and investing in better solutions. Thank you.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
A terrific job, as I said. I can't give that man enough credit for what he's doing to get the poisons out of our food, to get the extensive vaccines out of our kids. Nobody before him really has asked why the autism rates are so high in this country, why autism is running rampant in this country, why children have to get so many vaccines within months and weeks of being born, children with no immune systems being forced to take these foreign chemicals in their body. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that some of them aren't needed and wanted. I'm also not a doctor, but common sense is common sense. And if you've looked over the past few years at the trend of things, as vaccines have gone up in children, so have autism rates. So maybe it's something in the water, but that stayed pretty consistent over the last 100 years, maybe even gotten better in some places, unless you're in Flint, Michigan. But the only thing that has changed is the amount of vaccines that children are being forced to take. So anything that RFK Jr. Can do to make it better for children, for anybody who's suffering in this country, is a great day. I want to turn to the FBI and some changes that have been going on at the FBI. Some big ones today, I have to say. 2 senior FBI officials today, including one who initially resisted the Trump administration's effort to gather the names of agents who worked on cases related to the Capitol attack on January 6th, are being fired, according to CNN. Brian Driscoll is a familiar name. He was the acting FBI director in the weeks before, now Director Kash Patel, and confirmed, is being dismissed. Steve Jensen, the acting director in charge of the Washington field office, also being fired, according to 2 separate sources. The administration also fired other agents in the Bureau this week who were perceived to be opposed to Trump in the past, according to people familiar with this. Earlier this year, as I had said, it was reported that Driscoll refused to hand over the names of the officials involved in the January 6th cases. According to NBC News, there were more than 2,400 cases in total, approximately 5,000 FBI agents involved, or employees of the FBI officials who worked on January 6th cases and Trump investigations were identified by a case management system. These people have been allowed to linger around for far too long. The rogue agents who raided Mar-a-Lago, unless they've came out and spoke up, have to go. The rogue agents who partook in January 6th have to go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They should have been gone already. For Kash Patel, for Pam Bondi, for Donald Trump to even put up with these people is totally nonsensical, in my opinion, to allow this to happen. These people tried to absolutely ruin and destroy our country. They ruined the lives of innocent people, children, elderly people, ruined and destroyed their lives. And yet they're still somehow working in the FBI, allowed to get their pension. I think that's absolutely disgusting. And these people should be well on their way to hell for what they've done, for what they've put people through, for the destruction they've put this country through. It's an absolute shame, an absolute shame. As we were speaking before, we've got a story. Jasmine Crockett, we'd mentioned it a little bit earlier. They call her the boss from hell, who screams at her staffers and lays around her apartment, according to aides who have worked for the Texas lawmaker. Crockett, who's known for her foul mouth, is reportedly rude to her staff and refuses to come to the office. I mean, this should come as a surprise to no one. The aides told the New York Post that Crockett is more interested in being an influencer who posts viral clips on social media than actually representing the people of her district. 3 sources who have worked with Crockett say she's rarely present when on TV cameras aren't rolling and terrorizing her staff when she does reappear. That is absolutely hysterical. Anyone who will go work for that person. Now, according to the New York Post reporting, Crockett is not often found at her government-provided suite in her Longworth House office building, with one insider saying she prefers to work from home from her nearby luxury apartment building, sometime for weeks on end. Quote, she's laying around her apartment, won't come to the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them. She's never in the office and is very disengaged. She does her bullshit that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things. Well, how dumb of a staffer do you have to be to work and continue to work for this woman who's clearly an abusive boss? What does that make you? I can assure you, as a former congressional staffer, the pay there is not nearly enough to be putting up with abuse. Some jobs there would consider you on the poverty line. You could work at McDonald's and I think make more money. So anyone putting up with that is absolutely absurd in their own way. We're going to take one more quick break here, folks. When we come back, by the way, as I said, we are live tonight. So we're taking all your questions, comments, concerns. I see we've got some hateful comments in the chat as well. We'll try to get to those as well. We don't shy away from anything. Let us know where you're tuning in from: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble. Let us know. And we'll be sure to get to your comments, your questions, your concerns, and your shout outs. The Great America Show continues in one moment. There's so much more to get to. Please stay with us.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented My Pillow. My Pillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all three.
When I got My Pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King My Pillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic My Pillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Thank you for staying with us, folks. Before we move on to some other big stories that we're following tonight here, including another big investment from Apple in America, and some big moves going to be happening over in Israel pertaining to the Gaza Strip. I want to get to some of your shout outs and some of your questions over on Rumble. Straightforward replacement theory isn't theory at all. It's been a Democratic policy. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with that one. The Marxist Dems are pretty much known for that. Over on Facebook, from Diane, they should have never been counted in the first place. I assume you're talking about the illegals on the census. Yeah, this is what happens when you allow the Democrats to run cities. This is what happens when you allow the Democrats to run legislators. They lie, they cheat, and they steal. I mean, there's nothing hyperbolic about it. It's what we've witnessed in the past. It's what we know them to do. And if you allow them to keep doing it with no repercussions, which is why Lou Dobbs took such big issue with the 2020 election. You allowed them to steal it one way or another, whether it was the machines or whether it was good old-fashioned ballot stuffing, maybe both. You allow them to keep doing it, and they're going to keep doing it. It's just, the way it is. They're like professional children. If you don't reprimand your child for doing something wrong, they're going to keep doing that bad act because they know they're going to get away with it. It's sad that this is how we have to explain our most powerful legislators in this country, perhaps in the world. But that's exactly what they're like. They're like children, children. Let's see. Let's see. Over on Facebook from Patrick. Time was it for citizens only, not people who grab and go. Hey, a little typo there. Sorry, I'm not exactly, I can't really read that far, but we're trying. Over from Carla over on Facebook. Yep, I agree. Count everyone, but only citizens. Count for congressional representation. You bring up a good point about counting everyone, Carla, because we need an accurate number on how many illegals are in this country. I mean, it's been far too long since we've figured out how many illegals are in this country. I think the most recent number from Pew Research is like 12 million. And it's been 12 million for like 25 years. Now, we know how many Joe Biden was allowing in under his watch. It had to be over 5 million. Some say 5 to 10 million. I think personally it's more than that. But it puts the number at probably, my estimate is somewhere in the 30 to 40 million range. The more conservative numbers, and I don't mean conservative literally, but put it at 20 million, which I think is on the low end. I don't think we're that low. Considering 25 years ago, we're at 12 million. That means only 8 million illegals were allowed in under George W. Bush, Barack Hussein Obama, and Joseph Robin F. Biden. I'm not exactly buying that because, like I said, we know that millions were allowed in under Joe Biden alone. So, it's a very, very, very tough situation. Let's see. It's a long one from Monica on Facebook. Trump demanding a census right now is a bad joke. First, that there is no money in the budget for a census mid-decade. Second, Doge fired a huge portion of the people who manage the census. Third, it takes about 6 months to create one, print one, mail it out, citizens to fill out and return. And finally, to read each census, collect and organize their responses. Finally, to print the results. Getting it done in time to justify changes to voting districts will never happen before the midterm elections. It needs to be done. I mean, it needs to be done. As for your timeline, I'm not entirely sure how that is. They were saying that they're going to maybe go do some door knockings, but it needs to be done. Under no circumstance should we have illegals being represented in congressional districts. I mean, it's just the reason why sanctuary city legislators don't have to show up to work and win elections just handedly. It's why AOC will probably never lose an election, or at least be very hard to do so. When you gerrymander these districts, it allows these people to do whatever the heck they want. Dude, is there anything between your ears besides air? I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I guess that was a bad joke. Let's see. Alan over on Facebook. The amount of stupidity floating around the grand old party, which stands for GOP, group of perverts. You look at the Democrat Party. I mean, they're the biggest ship of fools that you'll ever see. Some of the dumbest people to walk this planet. Now, I don't defend the Republicans, because I think they're just as dumb. Obviously, whoever put that comment is a Democrat. I don't sit here and stand up for the Republicans either, because I think they're just, in some cases, as corrupt as the Democrats. So, it is what it is. This is the society we're living in. Bill over on Facebook, none of them will be arrested. Only the little people, the peasants, go to prison. Welcome to the corporation of the United States, where the executives of the corporation are entirely above the law. They'll nail you to the wall, even over the slightest infraction. They're making millions doing personal appearances on Fox, NBC, ABC. Not worried, at least they're fellow traders. Yeah, Bill, I agree with you 100%, and I sound like a broken record, but I repeat that same thing every night here. Every guest I have here, that we talk about the Russia hoax and these people going down. If there is no justice, and I'm talking real justice this time, for these people, these criminals who sought to undermine democracy, who sought to destroy this country, if there is no justice at the highest levels, the John Brennans, the James Clappers, the Barack Hussein Obamas, the midterm elections are going to be a very grim sight for Republicans, even with possible redistricting and no gerrymandering. The Republicans have got to get their act together. James Comer over in the House is doing an absolutely outstanding job. I commend him every day here, because I know the work that he's doing. I speak to him quite often. I know the work he's doing, and I know the work that he cares about doing. But Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, it seems, are on the right track. You haven't seen Pam Bondi on Fox News as much. So that could be a sign that things are getting a little bit better. Debbie over on Facebook, absolutely correct. Just because you're standing somewhere doesn't make you a citizen of that state and that country. You bring up a funny point. I was over in Europe for the past month or so traveling, and I met somebody in a bar, a girl in a bar who's a flight attendant. She may even be listening to the show right now. And she was from Brazil. And she had made some off remark about America, saying, we don't have school shooters where I come from. We don't have kids who go and shoot up schools. And I said, yeah, but you also have a country where you can't turn on an open water faucet and drink water out of your faucet. So everyone wants to point fingers and look at America, but I don't see people lining up to go live in Brazil. I don't see people lining up to go live in Venezuela. You just don't see it happening. People want to come to America. So it could be a little bit of a jealousy thing. By the way, with Marco Rubio and the State Department putting that $15,000 bond, if you guys haven't heard, the State Department's now looking at a pilot program where Marco Rubio is proposing putting a $15,000 bond if you want to come to America, to ensure you don't overstay your visa. I think that's absolutely brilliant, to maybe get some of these people to not overstay their visas. Let's see, over on Facebook, Paul, trust in Trump because you can. You're absolutely right. I trust President Trump with the life of this country. He didn't steer us wrong the first time around, and he's certainly not going to steer us bad this time around. Over on Facebook, Peggy, I have a question. Will the census takers be checking the legal documents or birth certificates? If so, there's another slot for illegals. Yeah, I'm not sure the actual remedy for doing it, but I can almost guarantee they're not just coming to your house and saying how many people are living here. I think this time around it'll probably be a legitimate process where you'll have to show some sort of identification or proof. The other easier way to verify is tax returns. Now, yes, tax returns have been some cases fraudulent because of these illegals getting fake Social Security numbers. But if you can cross-verify and cross-reference tax returns or so on and so forth with other documents, I think you probably have a pretty secure system. I mean, you got to remember, Peggy, we live in the greatest country in the world, a country of innovators, the smartest people in the world. Silicon Valley is home to some of the smartest tech people in the world. I argue the smartest, second to none. There's got to be a way, a new way that makes it efficient for these people, to get this thing done. Knickerbocker Artie, I like this guy. I don't know if you're talking about me or somebody else, but if it's me, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. G Wi-Fi, thanks for tuning in. Another one of our regulars over on Rumble. Justice will be served when we see Barack Obozo wading chest high through the Everglades swamp water on his way to Alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, he's gotten a little arrogant over the course of the last few years, but I think it's sort of tamed down a little bit because his eyes are seemingly starting to open to the prospect of what can happen. Now, I have said it often on this show, and I hope I'm wrong. I don't think Barack is one of the ones that goes down. It's going to be very hard to get him with the Supreme Court immunity, various different things. But I pray and hope to God that I am completely wrong on this, because I would love nothing more than to see that man go down. He's a terrible, terrible, terrible human being. And I think Barack has a lot more skeletons in the closet than you would ever imagine. We've all heard the stories. Donald Trump, there's nothing we don't know about this man. Everything that man has ever done, down to the color of his underwear, we've unfortunately learned. That man's whole entire life has been aired out like dirty laundry, thanks to the Marxist Dems and their dirty ways. But I guess in hindsight, it makes it good because we know that Donald Trump is who he says he is. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing that we're going to find out about. There's no, third world power that's going to come out and, tell us Donald Trump was doing this. And I guess that's probably why they had to use the Steele dossier, the fake Russia collusion hoax, to try to get Donald Trump. I guess they never really thought it would backfire on them. Dem leadership are a bunch of power-hungry crooks, Janet, over on Facebook. Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about that. I hope we all live to see the day that Chuck Schumer gets his ass walked out of the Senate, pardon my language, whether losing an election or whatever. That is one of the worst human beings in this country. I mean, just a terrible, terrible, terrible human being. That's all the questions we're going to get to. We can try to get to some more. I want to get to some more news before we wrap up here. As always, we appreciate you guys joining us live for the Great America Show. We have an update for you on what's going on over in Gaza and Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu sat down for an interview with Bill Hemmer earlier today on Fox News to discuss what the next moves are in Israel as it pertains to Gaza. Take a listen.
Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. and you were in the Gaza Strip today. You met Palestinians who are fighting Hamas because finally they see that they have a future. They can rid themselves of this awful tyranny that not only holds our hostages, but holds 2 million Palestinians in Gaza hostage. That's got to end.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip, as it was 20 years ago to this month in 2005?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas. The only way that you're going to have a different future is to get rid of this neo-Nazi army. The Hamas are monsters. Look at what they're doing to our people. Look at what they're doing to the way they massacred, raped, beheaded our people, our men and women, burned our babies. And they are really cruel to their own people, because when we try to take them away from the combat zones, they shoot them. They want people to be civilian casualties. They want a starvation policy that they themselves are trying to put into being. And we're doing everything to reverse that.
So we'll keep you up to date on how that progresses over there. We could expect, I guess, that to come in the next coming days. Before we wrap up, we've got some big news, some big announcement out of Apple, the greatest phone manufacturer in the world, I have to say. I'm sort of biased towards them because it's the only phone I think I've ever had that I've liked. But Apple is pledging to flood the United States with $600 billion in investments over the next 4 years, announcing the production of 19 billion U.S.-made chips across 12 states this year, only using American-made rare earth minerals. That is absolutely amazing, amazing news. 24 factories over 12 states, Apple pledging. This is what Donald Trump is able to do. And you know what? The sad thing about it all is that Joe Biden could have done the same exact thing, but he doesn't care. He didn't care about America. He never cared about America. He cared about how he can enrich him and his crackhead son and his low-life family. That's the only thing he ever cared about. He sold this country out. He sold everybody out. He sold everything out, just like his predecessor, just like George W. Bush, just like all of them, which is why I go so hard on Republicans as well. It's not just Democrats. In some cases, the Republicans are just as bad. So terrible, terrible stuff. But Donald Trump is actually righting the ship that these Marxist Dems have, long steered towards China and other slave labor countries for cheap labor and, selling out the Americans. That's all for us tonight, folks. As always, we appreciate you joining us here on the Great America Show. Tomorrow, we're going to be joined by my good friend, Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports. He's got some new poll numbers to break for us. He's saving them just for this show, so you won't want to miss it. Donald Trump numbers, congressional numbers, 2028 numbers, all of that tomorrow on the Great America Show. Mark Mitchell will be our guest. As I said, that's all for us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. I appreciate you all joining us live here tonight. As always, a delight and an honor to spend your night with me. See you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.